Lesson 13 is on converting between fractions and decimals using equivalent fractions. And guys, it's really important that we can go back and forth because some things call for fractions. When you're cooking, when you're, eating pizza, when we're dealing with feet and inches and yards and everything in our U.S. Customary system. Whereas decimals, money count is counted in decimals. Our metric system is counted in decimals. So we really want to be comfortable with both. So let's work on that. All right, so it says using place values to write terminating decimals as equivalent fractions. Terminating means it ends. It's not repeating. It doesn't go on forever. It terminates. It ends. So what is the value of the number 2.25? How can this number be written as a fraction or mixed number? Well, the best thing to do is to say it correctly. And you'll notice that I just said 2.25. It's not how you say it. Remember, after the decimal point, we start with tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000s, 100,000s, millionths, and we keep going. So the correct way to say this is 2 and 25 hundredths. Okay, if you say it correctly, it kind of gives itself away. 2 and 25 hundredths. And we put 100 on the bottom. So, as long as you can know those points, and if you don't, let me know and I'll help you with them. Or those, decimal places, it should make writing these terminating decimals pretty easy as fractions. Now it says rewrite the fraction in its simplest form. We have to write fractions in simplest form. It's something you've been doing for years, and it's something that you need to continue to do. So if I focus right here on this 25 over 100, you need to find its common factors. Now remember, we have fractions that are equivalent. 1/2 is the same thing as 2/4, is the same thing as 5/10, and so on and so forth. These are equivalent fractions because they reduce all to 1/2. Well, we need to reduce this. So maybe you can look at both 25 and 100 and say, you know what? 25 goes into 25 and 25 goes into 100. And 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So I can reduce this into 1/4. Maybe you don't see that. Okay, so it's okay to do things in a couple steps. Here's what I mean. What if you take 25 hundredths, okay, and you're like, I don't know what goes into them. Well, this ends in 0 and this ends in 5. That means 5 goes into both of them. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 100 divided by a really scribbled 5 here. Sorry. 100 divided by 5 is 20. Well, look, I have a 5 and a 0 again. That means 5 can go into both of those. And 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. Except, so we get 1/4 either way, except that's not your answer. Remember, this was 2 and 25 hundredths. That doesn't reduce to 1/4. This reduces to 2 and 1/4. So you're going to hear me talk about that again. Be very careful that we don't forget that mixed number up front. All right, so what is the value of the number 2.025? Well, again, don't say it like that. Say 2 and 25 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is 2 and 25 thousandths. Now, if we need to reduce that, 25 thousandths, you can see that 25 goes into both of these, hopefully. And 25 divided by 25 is 1. 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. And if you need to use a calculator to help you out with that, you can. So, again, that's going to go to 2 and 1/40th, not forgetting our mixed number out front. So, when we have a terminating decimal, it makes it easier for us to write it as a fraction. And again, the whole goal of this lesson is to convert between the fractions and the decimals. I'm going to show you another method in the next video, but the equivalent fractions makes it a little easier. So Let's look at a few examples. Use place value to convert each terminating decimal to a fraction. Then rewrite it in its simplest form. So when we look at this right here, 0.218, no, that's not how we say it. We say tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is 218 thousandths. Now, I don't know what goes in both 218 and 1,000, but I do know that they're both even, and all even numbers can be divided by 2. So 218 divided by 2 is 109, 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. And I'll just tell you, there are no smaller numbers that they can be divided into. I'm sorry, there are no factors that go into both 109 and 500. All right, 0.16, nope, tenths, hundredths. So this is 16 hundredths. And again, they're both divisible by 2. They're actually both divisible by 4. Looking for common factors. Doesn't have to be the greatest common factor because you can do it a couple times. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So again, 4 25ths, when we divide it out, would be 16 hundredths. And one more. 2.72, nope, tenths, again, hundredths. So this is 2 72 hundredths. Knowing though that these both can be divided by 2. 72 divided by 2 is 36. 100 divided by 2 is 50. I can divide both of those by 2 again. And I get 18 over 25. And then you turn that in and you get it wrong because the answer is not 18 over 25. It is 2 18/25. When you get done with these, ladies and gentlemen, a little hint is always go back up and check your original problem. Because in that, you might be like, oh, shoot, I forgot a 2. I got to write a 2 here. Okay? So if we are changing terminating decimals into fractions, the best piece of advice I can give you is to say it correctly. That's going to help you write it in its correct fraction form.